Hi, everybody. Great that you are all here. So let's make this a really interactive session today. My name is Matthijs. I'm the CEO of Withlocals. I'm not going to talk a lot about myself. I did some other companies in the past, including a software company, but now I'm in travel. So what are we going to do today? I will share some of our own experiences. And first, I will look a little bit at the past. So where are we coming from? And I will also explain some of our challenges. Then I will talk about today's situation. Also the title of this presentation, how to reignite your business. And finally, we will look at the future. So how can we seize new opportunities? If you already know everything about scaling, don't worry, you will at least walk away with a nice and memorable story. So first about Withlocals. What is Withlocals? We are a scale-up from the Netherlands, and we are active in what is called the tours and activities market. So the reason we started this company is we want to connect people and cultures. So there's a lot of things that you can do in a city, but we really believe that if we bring you directly in touch with a local guide who can tell you everything about the city, about his or her own passions. For instance, food. Imagine that you go with a chef in Barcelona and that chef is showing you the best places in Barcelona to get tapas. Well, that's exactly what we are offering. It's a marketplace model, so we connect travelers to local guides. If you look at this slide, I click once more, you see this little phoenix on the wall. And that's a little bit the red line in my presentation, because that phoenix is a symbol for what are you going to do when things go wrong, when you have to face a challenge. Well, we faced a couple of challenges, so I will explain you how we dealt with those challenges, how we are doing that today, and how we will do that in the future. And I really hope that some of that input is also useful for you in your own company and in developing your own ideas. So how did this all start? Well, that's a long story, but in a nutshell, our founder was traveling in Asia, in India, to be exact. And he had a really hard time to really discover the country, the culture, the people, until he got in touch with RJ, a local guide who said, I can show you around. I can bring you to places that maybe you wouldn't find so easily as a tourist. And indeed, it was a great experience. But RJ, the host, also explained, for me, it's really difficult to work as a tour guide because you, a traveler, might pay, let's say, 100 euros for an experience. But in the end, I will only get €1 or $1 out of that 100. And the rest goes to a lot of intermediates, middlemen in the whole supply chain. So the idea is super simple. If we build a marketplace where we connect the two directly, everybody is happy. Well, so far that sounds really simple, but of course it's never really simple in practice. So what did we do in the beginning? We started out with what we called home dinners, meaning that you go to Bangkok, for instance, you go to the house of a local, doesn't even have to be a professional tour guide, just a passionate local who wants to share his or her culture. And it's great because you get to talk about culture, you get to taste some delicious foods. And as a guide, a host, as we call them, you can do that 1 time a week, maybe twice a week. But if you do it 5 or 6 times a week, then people usually call it a restaurant, which means this is not a really scalable business model unless you want to build a lot of restaurants. And that was not the plan. So we had to come up with a new idea to make this scale. So that was really our first challenge in building up Withlocals. How can we make something scale that really revolves around people? And to do that, there's also technology that comes into play. So as Alex mentioned in the intro, we are indeed a Google Cloud customer. So once in a while, you see this logo popping up. And that is not because they are paying us or that we get a lot of credits. We are just really happy with our platform. And I think it's also good to explain how it supports us building our platform. So in this case, we built something that was really important for us to scale. And that starts with data. We had so many data points from all the experience that we already did. We did lots of those home dinners, that at some point we started to understand what exactly are travelers looking for. And if it's not a home dinner, but it's a tour around the city, should it be 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours? If it's a food tour, how many drinks and bites do we need to give them? And over the years, we collected more and more data. So working together with Google helped us to bring all the data together, also to get some really valuable insights. We're part of this Google Scale Up program, and that helped us to create a kind of blueprint, a template, if you will. So today we know exactly what is a good food tour in Rome, in Italy, for instance. We can say it needs to be about 3 hours. We need to give about 8 drinks and bites in that food tour. We know how it's different per audience. Maybe it's different for US travelers compared to European travelers. And we didn't come up with this idea ourselves. We basically stole it from Netflix. They have Netflix originals. Same story. They know exactly what viewers want to see. We are doing the same, but then for our tours and activities. Meaning that we bring all that data together, we build blueprints, and suddenly we can do one food tour, not just with one guide. We can do it with 10 guides. In some cities, we do that food tour with 60 guides. So from there, suddenly we started to scale really quickly. That was really the first success of Withlocals, and for us also the first interaction with Google and how they helped us to scale more quickly. If I go to my next slide, I probably don't have to tell you why this happens. If you are a travel company, then 2020 is probably not the best year in your history. Everything was going really well for us. Usually there is a lot of seasonality, but in March every year the numbers go up because we go into spring, at least in Europe, in the US, we go towards summer. So it's almost a direct line up to the top of the slide and then even beyond that. Well, you can see right now, we didn't hit the top. Actually, we went down quite fast. So this happened, and yes, it sucks big time. And in the beginning, there is stress, like how are we going to survive this? So I guess that's another really big challenge, right? How are you going to cope with this? If your business is all about travel and suddenly travel is gone. So this is how we solved it in the beginning. We said we can sit and wait and then hope for the good times to return. But I guess it's not even a strategy, right? It's hoping. And there's nothing wrong with hope. It's important. But if you want to build your business, you need to think about different plans. So we were one of the first companies that were testing online experiences. Because if you remember in the beginning, I told you, we connect people and cultures. So can we still do that even when travel is not there? And of course we can. There is technology today to help us to do that. We can bring people together, but it's via a screen. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect, but at least it brings you back a little bit to travel and us to our mission of connecting people and cultures. Well, it would be great if I can give you a secret formula how we did it. I guess there is no secret formula, but there are 3 elements that helped us to make that happen. Number 1 is product, and you know that, right? You have to build something that people love, that people want to use. Number 2 is the people themselves. I will talk about it. That's about the people in our team. It's about resilience, but it's also about all those local guides we work with and the customers. What would they like to see? And finally, it's also about technology. Technology is always there, but if you don't have a lot of time, in our case, also not a lot of money to make super big investments, how are you going to use technology to your advantage to, again, scale a new concept really quickly. So quick question, and I think I know the answer. How many of you have been doing Friday drinks on Zoom or Google Meet? I guess all of you, right? And you do that once, maybe you do that twice, but if you do it for the 5th time, I don't know, speaking for myself, it feels a little bit like, okay, I have this whole week filled with video meetings, and now it's Friday afternoon, and I'm sitting here again with a beer in my hand, a glass of wine, but I don't really feel that I connect to my colleagues. And that was the whole goal of doing those Friday drinks. And especially when you can do it in real life, it's a way to bond, to connect to your colleagues. So is there a way to recreate that experience online? Well, apparently Zoom or Google Meet is not the answer. So can we come up with something that makes it more interactive, more engaging? So we started talking to customers who did online experience with us, mostly consumers, and they said, well, there is one key difference between a boring meeting and a highly engaging meeting, and that is interaction. Because if I just want to view something, I will start up Netflix or I go to YouTube, and that's great. I can consume a lot of content, but it's a one-way street. I want to have a two-way street. We want to connect people. So this is what we started out building. And that's the customers. Of course, we also talk to our local guides, the hosts. What is important to them? So I have a couple of bullets here. You are looking at Matt. Matt is one of our local guides in Sydney. And one of his favorite experiences going out of Sydney, and he's walking around in nature. But he's doing that with his iPhone. So he doesn't have a Jeep filled with professional studio level equipment. It's just an iPhone for video and audio. It's also not pre-recorded. It's live streaming. So connection suddenly becomes important. And why do we do live streaming? Because of that interaction. We want the audience to tell Matt, hey, Matt, can you go left or right? Because there's something I would like to see. Sometimes Matt sees a dangerous snake. He goes to the snake, zooms in a little bit. So Matt has to do a lot of things at the same time. And he's a great storyteller, but it doesn't always mean that you're also great with technology. So how can we build a platform that is easy to use for Matt? Matt also needs to be able to share some polls with questions like, hey guys, where do you want me to go next? People can respond with flying hearts, with emojis. And all of those things, we need to build them in the platform in such a way that it's easy to use. So that's product. Product is super important. Listen to your customers, listen to the people, in our case, the hosts, who make it happen. So that's how we started. Number one, product. But I already mentioned people, also really, really important. I would say people are really at the core of Withlocals. Our team, our customers, our guides. So I will play a quick video. There's no sounds. It's just to give you an impression of different local hosts and what they are doing for us. So as you will see, those hosts, they are really driving the experience. They are taking care of engagement. So that's super important that we stay very close to them and that we listen to them, because without those people, there is no experience, there is no engagement. At the same time, there's also a team here at Withlocals, our employees. And I can imagine for many of you, and the same goes for me, it's a difficult time, right? So maybe you're more disconnected from your colleagues. There is uncertainty about the pandemic. Where are we going? How long is it going to take? I talk to people who feel very lonely because they cannot visit their family, their friends. And my experience is that in that case, it is super helpful if you can work towards a common goal. And this became our common goal. can we still build something that people love? And we are doing that today, and that is giving people energy, and they know why they are working for Withlocals, and they're super motivated to make this work. So we have a great product. In a second, I will also talk about technology, but without the people, you are never, ever going to make it work. So people, super important. What about technology? In a second, I will show you a short snippet. Again, no audio, just to give you an impression from one of our customers, another software company called SendCloud. And as you will see, a lot of things are happening at the same time. Top left, you will see our moderator. Top right, you will see our local host, who has a setup with multiple cameras because he's doing a cooking workshop. All the participants, they get what we call a care package with authentic Italian ingredients, so they can cook together with our local host. And then at some point, they can also show their colleagues, this is my dish that I created. How do you feel about it? The host can respond to that. Here you also see the CEO of the company who really liked taking part in this experience. So we bring him live in the experience. We are live streaming all of that to YouTube. So there is a lot of stuff that comes together here. And again, there are lots of cloud players available. We decided to go with Google. And one of the reasons is we are using Kubernetes. Some of you might know it. In a very simple way, it's technology available on Google Cloud that helps us to scale certain parts of the platform. Because I want to make sure that this experience works really well for a group of 10 people, but also for a group of 10,000 people. And if you don't have to worry about that infrastructure and all the applications that work together, yeah, that's really great, because sometimes you just don't have the time to do everything in-house, and you should leverage technology that is already available out there. So I guess that's also my key takeaway in terms of technology. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. A lot of things are already available. In our case, a lot of those technologies are available in Google Cloud. So, quick break. How did we get from travel to technology in just 15 minutes? Well, we are going towards the end of my presentation. One click more. Here we are looking at use case frequency. And I used this overview from Reforts. If you are into product, I really recommend you to check out the Reforts programs. They will make you a better product manager. And I think this visual is super important for us. With Withlocals, our regular business, doing tours in cities all over the world, we had one big issue. People love it, but they only do it once a year or maybe once every 2 years. So how can we increase frequency? Well, it happens already, because with Withlocals for Teams, the online experience that we are doing for companies, a lot of companies are doing them every 3 months. We see really good retention. So that's way better than 1 or 2 years. But then something happens, and that was a little bit unexpected. A lot of customers, they said, hey guys, can we also use your platform standalone without the experience? Because we love it. We would like to use it for internal meetings. And that platform, we call it Withlocals Club. Suddenly, we have an opportunity to increase frequency to days or a couple of times a week, which gives us a really nice angle to also sell the regular online and offline experiences. So with Club, we really believe that we built something new. We come from travel, then we went to online experiences, and now suddenly we have a platform that people love. And again, here we also work with Google, because there are simple things, at least simple, if you've seen it before, like, can I have background blur in your platform? Or can I upload a custom background? It's not super easy to build that. If you are using existing technologies like TensorFlow, we use that on Google Cloud, suddenly you can solve a difficult issue with not a lot of time and effort. So that's, I would say almost full circle back to the beginning. How can technology help us to build a great platform? We started out with an initial idea 4 months ago, and today we have a platform and we get feedback from customers that they really love it. So key ingredients to do that. One is product. Make sure to build a great product. Make sure to have a great team, work with the right people, and make sure to have the right technology. So we are going to do 2 things. We are going to accelerate our efforts on Club, and at the same time, I want to make sure that we are ready to run out of the gate when travel is picking up again. And I'm really looking forward to connect with many of you, to exchange some ideas, and to also get your feedback on this platform. And with that, I would like to thank you for your time today. Feel free to ping me. And if you're interested to use our platform, no obligations. The only thing I would love is to get your feedback. Just let me know. Thanks again and have a great day.
Matthijs, thank you so much for that. Thank you for sharing your story there of overcoming those challenges and the pivots. And sorry for coming on. We were a little bit pushed for time, but really appreciate you sharing that. And I know your colleagues in the chat, and you might be joining the chat as well to kind of answer any questions.
Yep.
Thanks so much for sharing that with us.
Thanks, Alex.